Life in advertising is a lot like balancing on a high wire. Every step has to be measured, or you're likely to fall. That's how it felt, starting my new position at the central office. I was Ellie, freshly promoted and eager to prove myself in a game where creativity clashed with deadlines and client whims. It was my first day as a senior creative lead, and the office buzzed with the quiet intensity of a beehive. My desk was a clean slate, sprinkled with welcoming notes from some of my new team members. As I settled in, the first meeting of the day was called by Ms. Thorne, our department head, who had a reputation tough enough to sandpaper the floor. "All right, everyone, let's make this quick. We're not here to waste time," Ms. Thorne snapped as we gathered around the glass table in the meeting room. Her eyes were sharp, missing nothing. As the meeting progressed, I pitched our new campaign idea. It's fresh, it targets the younger demographic with their love for sustainability and authenticity. We're not just selling a product, we're selling a lifestyle they want to embrace. Ms. Thorne's lips thinned. "Interesting, Ellie. But let's make sure it's not too dreamy. These millennials might love a cause, but at the end of the day, it's the hard sell that closes the deal." The rest of the day was a blur of introductions, project briefings, and setting up endless passwords for various systems. When the clock finally signaled the end of the day, I was the last to leave, making sure everything was lined up for the next morning. As I stepped out into the cool evening, my phone buzzed. It was a text from my older sister, Amanda. She rarely texted during the week, so seeing her name light up my screen brought a smile to my face. "Hey kiddo, just wanted to send you a little cheer. Mia nailed her choir solo today, and I got it on video. Sending it your way. Miss you." I texted back a string of heart emojis and a promise to call her over the weekend. My sister and I hadn't had the easiest time growing up, especially after our mom took off with her new flavor of the month and left us with our dad. When he passed, it felt like we only had each other against the world. I watched the video of Mia, her voice crystal clear and surprisingly mature for a 12-year-old. She had that spark, something special that made her more than just another kid in a school choir. "You're going places, kid," I murmured, pocketing my phone with a renewed sense of purpose. Saturday rolled around like a promise. I was finally on my way to Amanda's, armed with Mia's favorite chocolate cupcakes. Life had tossed enough at us, but weekends like these were small patches of normalcy we clung to. I knocked on Amanda's door, the familiar creak welcoming me inside. The aroma of fresh coffee mingled with the sound of Mia practicing scales in the background. Amanda emerged from the kitchen, a mock frown on her face. "Ellie, tell your niece to give it a rest, will ya?" My head's pounding like a drum solo. Laughing, I called out, "Mia, take 5. Aunt Ellie's here with the goods." Mia bounded into the room, her excitement bubbling over. "Aunt Ellie, did you watch the video? Did you see me hit that high note?" "I did, superstar. You were fantastic." I ruffled her hair, handing over the cupcakes, which she accepted with a grin. As Mia dashed back to her room, likely to stash the cupcakes away from adult supervision, I turned to Amanda. "How you holding up, sis? You look a bit worn out." Amanda sighed, pouring us coffee. "Work's a beast, Ellie. You know how it is. But it's nothing a good cuppa can't fix." We settled onto the couch, sipping the bitter brew. "Ellie, have you spoken to Mom recently?" Amanda's voice was tentative, almost cautious. Rolling my eyes, I shrugged. "You know I haven't. Not after the last circus." "Why? Has she reached out?" "Nah, just the usual postcard from wherever the hell she is now. Maldives, I think. Says she's living her best life or some crap like that." Amanda's tone dripped with disdain. I snorted. "Living her best life, huh? Must be nice, forgetting you have daughters who deal with real life every day." The conversation turned as we discussed Mom's latest escapades, none of which involved her being a responsible parent. It was old news, but it stung anew each time. Changing the subject, Amanda leaned in, lowering her voice even though Mia was out of earshot. Speaking of real life, I've been thinking about setting up a YouTube channel for Mia. She's got talent, Ellie. Real talent. My interest piqued. That's a solid idea. She's a natural in front of a camera, and Lord knows she's got the pipes. What do you need to get started? Just some basic recording gear. Nothing fancy. I've saved up a bit. Plus, if it takes off, maybe it could help with her college someday. We spent the rest of the afternoon brainstorming for Mia's channel, our voices filled with an excitement that had been missing for too long. It wasn't just about the potential of a YouTube channel, it was about giving Mia something solid, something joyful to hold on to. Driving back to my place, I couldn't shake the feeling of warmth that only a day well spent with loved ones could bring. Despite the chaos of work, this, family, was what mattered. And I was ready to fight for it, come what may. 2 years flew by unnoticed: work, family, and work again. That Tuesday started like any other day at the office, with coffee that was too bitter and emails that were too many. But just before lunch, my world came crashing down with a single phone call. The hospital number flashed on my screen, and a cold sweat broke out across my back as I answered. Hello? Is this Eleanor Jenkins? A stern voice asked on the other end. Yes, speaking. What's wrong? I'm sorry to inform you that your sister, Amanda Jenkins, was brought in today. She had a heart attack at work. She didn't make it, ma'am. I'm very sorry for your loss. The floor might as well have fallen away under me. Thank you, I'll be there as soon as I can. I hung up, my heart pounding in my ears, and my vision blurry. Stumbling to Miss Thorne's office, I barely managed to knock. Miss Thorne looked up, her usual scowl in place. What now, Jenkins? I hope you have a good reason for interrupting. My sister, she died. Heart attack. I need to go to the hospital. I managed to choke out, the words tasting bitter on my tongue. Her eyes narrowed, assessing me like I was a faulty cog in her machine. Jenkins, if you need time off again this month, I can't promise your job will be waiting. I stared at her, my grief turning to anger. My sister just died. I'm going, whether my job's here or not. Without waiting for her response, I turned and left her office, her sharp voice calling after me. Think about your career, Jenkins. I didn't stop, didn't look back. Grabbing my purse, I bolted from the building and hailed a cab, the hospital address spilling from my lips like a prayer. At the hospital, I was a zombie, signing papers I didn't read, nodding to words I didn't hear. It was over. She was gone. And then the hardest part came, telling Mia. I collected her from school, the normal smile she greeted me with tearing at my heart. As we sat in the parked cab, her smile faded, her eyes searching mine. Aunt Ellie, why are you here? Where's Mom? I took a deep breath, my voice a whisper. Sweetie, something very bad happened. Mom had a big heart problem today. She didn't make it. Mia's face crumpled, her small body shaking with sobs. No, that can't be. Mommy was fine this morning. I pulled her close, her tears soaking my shirt. I know, baby, I know. I'm so sorry. We sat there, the world outside continuing as if nothing had changed, as if my sister wasn't just gone. But for us, everything had stopped. The cabbie, bless his heart, did not bother us and even turned off the meter. Later, we went back to Amanda's house, a place now hallowed by her absence. I tucked Mia into bed, the silence oppressive. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in the living room, surrounded by reminders of my sister, the weight of my new reality pressing down on me. The next morning, I had to make the call I dreaded most. My fingers were stiff as I dialed our mother's number, the phone heavy in my hand. She picked up on the third ring. Yes? Mom, it's Ellie. Amanda died yesterday. Heart attack. There was a pause, and then, oh. Well, I'm on vacation. What do you expect me to do? Her words were like ice. I thought you should know. The funeral will be next week. Another pause. I see. Was there a will? Anything left behind? I clenched my teeth, anger flaring. That's all you have to say? What do you want from me, Eleanor? I have my own life. Yeah, I can see that. Don't worry about the funeral. You won't need to disrupt your precious vacation. I hung up, the phone shaking in my hand. That was it then. I was all Mia had now. And I'd be damned if I let her down like our mother had us. The funeral was last Thursday. It was as simple and quiet as Amanda herself had been. Not many people, just close friends and family, well, minus our mother, who couldn't be bothered to show up. Since then, every day has been a sprint through a maze of legal paperwork for Mia's custody and endless school runs. I've been burning the candle at both ends, trying to keep my job at the agency while being there for Mia. But today, everything caught up with me. Walking into the office, the first thing I noticed was someone else sitting at my desk. My stomach did a flip. She looked up, a faux smile plastered on her face, like she was waiting for this moment. Confused, I marched straight to Ms. Thorne's office. She was expecting me, standing by the door with that look she has, like she knows something you don't. Ellie, come in. Have a seat. She gestured to the chair across from her desk, with a too sweet tone. I didn't sit. Why is someone in my seat? My voice was more of a growl than I intended. Miss Thorne folded her hands on the desk, her eyes gleaming a bit too brightly. Ellie, let's not make this harder than it needs to be. Your frequent absences have been problematic. We've made the decision to move forward with someone else in your position. My sister died, Miss Thorne. I was taking care of my niece. You knew this. My hands were shaking, but I kept my voice steady. And I am truly sorry for your loss, Ellie, but business is business. We need someone reliable. You're free to collect your things. Best of luck. I stood there, stunned, my ears ringing with her words. Without another word, I turned and left her office. Collecting my things took less than 5 minutes. The new girl at my desk didn't meet my eyes. Walking out of that building felt like leaving a part of my life behind. I hailed a cab, sinking into the seat as the city blurred past. My mind raced. What were Mia and I going to do now? How long could we last on what I had saved? Where to? The driver glanced at me in the rearview mirror. Just drive for now, I said, pulling out my phone to check my bank app. The numbers weren't comforting. Rent was due in 2 weeks, and there were still groceries, Mia's school stuff. It piled up so fast it made my head spin. Walking through the door earlier than usual had Mia staring at me like I was a ghost. What's up, Aunt Ellie? Why are you home so early? I slumped into a chair, the weight of the day crushing down on me. Things are kind of messed up, kiddo. I lost my job today, and honestly, I'm not sure what we're going to do. Mia's eyes widened, her lips parting slightly as if to speak, but then she just turned and walked out of the room. The silence hung heavy until she came back, her arms struggling under the weight of her school backpack, which she dumped on the kitchen table. Zipper by zipper, she opened it and out spilled a mountain of dollars. My mouth dropped. Mia, where the heck did you get all this? She beamed, pride shining in her eyes. It's my money, Aunt Ellie. I earned it singing. Mom helped me set up a YouTube channel a couple of years ago. I've been posting videos of my songs. You what? I grabbed my laptop, pulling up the internet as she spelled out her channel name. The page loaded, and there it was, hundreds of thousands of subscribers, videos with views ticking into the millions, and comments piled up like treasure. Reading through the comments, I couldn't help but smile. Mia, this is incredible. You're a star. She shrugged, a bashful smile on her face. I just like singing. But I thought the money could help, especially now. I pulled her into a hug, my mind racing with possibilities. Help? Kiddo, you just saved us. But we need to manage this right. Officially, I mean. Over the next few days, I was a whirlwind of activity. I contacted an accountant friend who helped set up a trust for Mia's earnings and sorted out the tax details. I officially registered myself as her manager to keep everything professional. With the business side tightened up, I dove into the creative. We brainstormed video ideas together, planned out a schedule, and I even reached out to vocal coaches to refine her already impressive skills. Our living room turned into a makeshift studio, where Mia recorded her new songs. I learned quickly, handling the camera and editing videos late into the night. Every upload brought in more subscribers, more views, more revenue. Feeling bold, I used some of the funds to launch a targeted ad campaign on social media. "We're going big, Mia," I told her as I set up the ads. "Let's show everyone what you've got." Mia's next video blew up bigger than we could have imagined. It was a cover of a popular song, her voice adding a depth that the original lacked. Comments poured in, praising her unique style and emotional delivery. As her manager, I kept my eye on the business side, ensuring Mia stayed grounded and focused on her schoolwork too. "We gotta keep things balanced, Mia. School's just as important." A few months later, Mia was invited to perform at a city concert, sharing the stage with local artists who were household names. Watching Mia step onto the stage, her confidence blooming under the spotlight, was a moment of pure joy. It had been a few months of smooth sailing. Mia's channel was thriving, and we were starting to see real stability. Just as I was beginning to relax, a curveball slammed into us. I got a notification that nearly knocked the wind out of me. My mother was filing for custody of Mia. I stared at the screen, disbelief coursing through me. After all these years, now she shows up? And for what? Money, obviously. It boiled my blood just thinking about it. I decided to call her, but not without hitting the record button on my phone first. I needed to capture every word. "Hello?" Her voice was as cold as I remembered. "Mom, it's Ellie. I got the notice about Mia. What are you playing at?" There was a pause, and then that all too familiar calculating tone. "Ellie, darling, let's not pretend. I know about Mia's little singing career. Seems like she's going to be quite the cash cow, huh?" I clenched my teeth, keeping my voice steady. "She's a child, Mom. And she's not a ticket to Easy Street. What do you actually want?" Her laugh chilled me. "Straight to the point, I like that. It's simple, really. You give me $300,000, and I'll walk away. If not, my lawyers will take a good hard look at how you've been exploiting her." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This was extortion, plain and simple. "You won't get a dime from us, Mom. And you won't get Mia either." She laughed again, that terrible sound. "We'll see about that, darling," and then she hung up. The phone call left me reeling, but also crystal clear about what I had to do. I contacted a lawyer, a good one who came highly recommended for family court battles. Sitting down in his office, I laid out everything. "She wants to take Mia away from me, claim I'm exploiting her. It's all about the money for her." I recorded our call. He listened, nodding slightly. "This is good, it's a start. We'll need more, though. Documentation of Mia's career, her schedule, how you manage her earnings. Transparency is our best defense. Everything's been above board. I've kept detailed records and receipts," I reassured him. "Good. And I'll need to talk to Mia, too. She'll likely have to testify about her living conditions and her work." The thought of Mia having to stand up in court made my stomach turn, but I nodded. "I'll prepare her. We'll do whatever it takes." Over the next few weeks, we pulled together everything. Mia's school records, statements from her vocal coach, video logs, financial statements. Mr. Green was thorough, leaving no stone unturned. As the court date loomed, nerves settled in like unwelcome guests. But we were ready. I had to believe that the truth would win out, that the judge would see through my mother's greed. The courtroom was colder than I remembered any place ever being, and the chill wasn't just from the air conditioning. My mother and her new husband sat across from us, looking smug. As the judge called the room to order, my stomach was in knots. My mother was called to the stand first. Her performance was something else, tears, shaky voice, the works. I just want what's best for Mia. My daughter, Ellie, she's been forcing the child to work all hours, exploiting her for money. It's not a life for a young girl. I want to give her the stable home she deserves. Then it was our turn. My lawyer, Mr. Green, was calm and methodical. He laid out Mia's school records, showing her excellent attendance and grades. He presented logs of her work hours, well within legal limits for a child her age, and financial statements proving that the money from Mia's channel went into a trust solely for her use. As you can see, Your Honor, Mr. Green concluded, all allegations of exploitation are baseless. My client has gone above and beyond to ensure the well-being and proper management of her niece's talents and earnings. He then turned on the recording of the phone call I'd made to my mother. The courtroom was dead silent as her voice filled the space, her demand for money and her threats clear as day. My mother's face went white as a sheet when the recording ended. There was murmuring among the spectators. Mia then took the stand, her small voice steady and clear. I love my Aunt Ellie. She's taken care of me, made me feel safe after Mom passed. I want to stay with her. She's my family. The judge nodded, scribbling some notes. After what felt like an eternity, he finally spoke. Given the evidence presented, it's clear that the best interests of the child would not be served by changing her current living arrangements. The petition for custody by Mrs. Linda Jenkins is hereby denied. The gavel hit with a thud that echoed in the suddenly heavy air. My mother stormed out, her husband trailing behind her, both of their faces twisted in anger and defeat. Mia threw her arms around me, her relief palpable. We did it, Aunt Ellie. I hugged her back, my own relief flooding through me. Yes, we did, kiddo. I told you we would. 2 years have passed since the courthouse drama, and they've been the best years of my life. Mia and we've settled into a comfortable rhythm. She's not just thriving, she's shining, singing at concerts, charming thousands on YouTube, and growing up into someone truly special. One lazy Saturday morning, while we were planning out her next video shoot, Mia looked up from her bowl of cereal with a sparkle in her eyes. Aunt Ellie, you know, I've been thinking about college. I want to study music, really learn about it from the inside out. I smiled, handing her a glass of juice. That's a great idea, kiddo. We've got your college fund all set up. Whatever you want to study, you can. Mia's grin widened. Thanks, Aunt Ellie. You always make things possible. Well, that's my job, isn't it? Keeping our dreams on track. I tousled her hair as she giggled, then the conversation shifted, as it often did these days, to more personal matters. So, how are things with Tom? Mia asked, a mischievous twinkle in her eye. I blushed, a smile creeping up on my face. Actually, pretty amazing. We're getting married, Mia. Her eyes went wide. Seriously? That's awesome. Can I be your bridesmaid? Of course, you goof. I wouldn't have it any other way. I chuckled, feeling a warmth spread through me at the thought of the upcoming wedding. Tom had come into my life at a time when I thought all I'd be doing was fighting fires, both at work and home. He brought a sense of peace and joy that I hadn't known I was missing. It felt right, the four of us together, Tom and his son, Mia, and me. As for my mother, word had it that her latest husband had left her after the money ran dry. I felt a pang of something that might have been pity, but Mia brought me back to reality. You okay, Aunt Ellie? She asked, noticing my momentary silence. I squeezed her hand, shaking off the shadows of the past. Yeah, kiddo, I'm just thinking about how far we've come. And how we've got each other, which is all we really need. Mia leaned into my side, a content sigh escaping her. Yeah, we do. And now you've got Tom and Jack, too. It's funny how life works out. 2 years ago, I was scared, unsure of the future, fighting to keep Mia safe and happy. Now, here we were, planning a wedding, looking at colleges, and living a life full of love and laughter. That evening, as I sat on the porch watching the sunset, Tom came up behind me, wrapping his arms around my waist. "You look happy," he murmured into my hair. "I am. I really am," I replied, leaning back into his embrace. Life's turned out better than I could have hoped. With Mia's laughter floating out from her room where she was probably choosing songs for her next concert, and Tom's steady presence at my side, I knew this was exactly where I was meant to be. Moving forward, one beautiful, ordinary day at a time.